Rain lashed against the tall glass windows of the skyscraper as Clara Harrington leaned back in her chair, exhaustion blurring her sharp blue eyes. The city lights below flickered like restless thoughts she couldn't quiet. The youngest CEO in the company's history, yet somehow the loneliest. The world saw power, success, and control, but she knew the price. Every friendship she'd built had turned into betrayal, every smile had come with hidden agendas. She'd learned not to trust anyone. When Ethan Cole walked into her office that morning for the assistant position, she almost didn't look up. But his voice made her pause. Steady. Calm. A little tired. The resume said single father of one, but it was his eyes that caught her attention, kind, worn, and honest in a way that felt unfamiliar. He wasn't like the usual candidates dressed in expensive suits and rehearsed charm. His shirt was clean but old, his hands were calloused, his smile quiet. "I don't usually make decisions this quickly," Clara said, closing his file. "But you can start tomorrow. 1-week trial." The relief that washed over his face was too genuine to fake. "Thank you, Ms. Harrington. I won't let you down." By the end of the first day, Clara found herself watching him more than she intended. He was efficient, organized, patient with everyone. He held doors open, stayed late without being asked, never complained. He even helped the janitor fix a broken cart after hours. People seemed to gravitate toward him, but she'd seen kindness used as a weapon before. She'd learned that people could fake decency as easily as they faked loyalty. She needed to know if he was real, or just another actor in her world of lies. That evening, she pretended to be too tired to leave. "I'll be working on the couch," she said, stifling a yawn. "Wake me when you're done." Ethan nodded. "Of course, Ms. Harrington." As soon as she lay down, she closed her eyes, half acting, half listening. The room hummed with the quiet sound of typing. Minutes stretched into an hour. She waited, expecting to hear drawers open or footsteps near her desk, then she heard him move. Softly, her pulse quickened. She cracked her eyes open slightly, pretending to shift in sleep. Ethan stood beside her desk, looking down, not at the computer, not at the files, but at the cold coffee cup she had left there earlier. He picked it up carefully, replaced it with a fresh cup, and then walked over to her. Slowly, he lifted the small blanket from the couch's armrest and covered her shoulders. His hands trembled slightly, careful not to wake her. For a moment, he just stood there, looking at her face, his expression unreadable except for one thing. Compassion. Then he quietly went back to work. Clara froze. The warmth of the blanket against her skin wasn't what shocked her, it was the realization that he'd cared enough to notice. Nobody ever did. Everyone wanted something from her. Everyone except him. The next morning, she couldn't bring herself to mention it. But when he greeted her with his usual calm smile and handed her the day's schedule, something inside her softened. At lunch, she saw him sitting alone in the cafeteria, eating from a plain lunchbox. Without overthinking, she walked over. "Mind if I sit here?" He looked surprised. "Of course, Ms. Harrington." "Clara," she corrected. "It's just lunch." He laughed quietly. "Then, Clara it is." The conversation flowed easily after that. He told her about his daughter, Lily, 7 years old, obsessed with drawing stars and fairy tales. His wife had died in a car accident years ago. Since then, every day had been a balancing act: work, school runs, bedtime stories. Clara listened, more than she spoke. There was no self-pity in his tone, just love. That night, long after he left, she sat in her office staring at the empty couch. The same couch where he'd gently covered her the night before. Something stirred inside her, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Trust. Days turned into weeks. Ethan became an anchor in the office. When problems arose, he handled them quietly. When staff got nervous, he calmed them. Clara found herself relying on him more and more, not just for work, but for balance. He reminded her of the world outside boardrooms, of small kindnesses that mattered. Then the company crisis hit. A massive data breach. Investors panicked. The media swarmed. The board turned on her. For the first time in years, Clara felt the walls closing in. She locked herself in her office, fighting to breathe, feeling the sharp edge of failure pressing against her chest. The door opened quietly. Ethan stepped in, holding a cup of coffee. He didn't speak right away. He simply placed it on her desk and sat down opposite her. "You've been carrying this alone for too long," he said softly. "You don't have to anymore." Her voice cracked. "I don't know how to let anyone in." "Then let someone stay," he replied. "Just this once." She met his eyes, steady, patient, understanding. The tears came before she could stop them. They worked through the night, side by side, rewriting statements, calling partners, fixing what could be saved. His calm steadiness grounded her. When the press conference began the next morning, she walked out with Ethan standing quietly beside her, holding her notes. His presence didn't just steady her hands, it steadied her heart. Afterward, when the crisis began to fade, she realized something: he hadn't saved the company. He'd saved her. A week later, he invited her to meet Lily. The apartment was small, cozy, and full of laughter. Drawings covered the fridge, paper stars hung from the ceiling. Lily ran to greet her. "You're Daddy's boss," she said brightly. "He says you're really brave." Clara laughed, her chest tightening at the word. Brave. No one had called her that in years. Lily showed her a crayon drawing, 3 stick figures holding hands under a sky full of stars. "That's me, Daddy, and you," she said proudly. For the first time, Clara felt something pure and grounding, a glimpse of a life she'd forgotten she could have. That night, as she left their home, she looked back at the light spilling through their window. The warmth, the simplicity, the quiet love, it reminded her that the world didn't have to be cold. Months later, at the company's charity gala, she spotted Ethan across the room. Lily was spinning in her little dress, laughing. Clara walked over, smiling. "You look good tonight," she said. He chuckled. "You too. Though I think Lily's the star of the show." "She gets that from you," she said softly. Their eyes met. No games, no walls, just 2 people who had seen the worst and still chose kindness. "I never thought someone like you could change my life," he murmured. "And I never thought someone like you could remind me how to live," she answered. The music swelled, laughter filled the hall, and for the first time in years, Clara felt completely at peace. Later that night, back in her office, she looked at the couch where she once pretended to sleep. The same couch where a man's simple kindness had changed everything. She smiled quietly, realizing the truth she'd missed all along. That night, she hadn't been testing him. She'd been testing herself, to see if she still believed in good people, in gentleness, in love, and she did. Finally, she did.